Good morning, fifth graders. Welcome to our technology class. This is week 35. I can't believe we're already on week 35. So here's the thing. We're still in code.org, and there are actually 19 lessons. The 19th lesson is an end of course project. So I'm trying to skip ahead a bit because I would like to try to at least get through most, if not all of this in the next couple of weeks. So what we're going to do is, last week we did lesson 5. This week we're going to skip lesson 6. This is a digital citizenship lesson. We've already spent plenty of time on that. So you could just skip the power of words. It's not even a code lesson. It's more of a unplugged. We're also going to skip lesson 7, envelope variables. And so it's just talking about what is a variable, which we've learned before. It's a placeholder in the code for something that could change, right? So like, for example, if I was giving the game, the user or the player of the game, they could choose the hair color. They could choose the character, right? It's something that changes. So you have to put that into the code, but then you have to enable the user the ability to choose whatever they want. And so that's basically what a variable is. So we're going to jump right into lesson 8. And I'm going to see if this works, how long the video goes. If we could do lesson 8, 9, and 10, that would be all of the variable lessons this week. And then that would be amazing, because then next week we could pick up with lesson 11. So let me see, I'm going to start going through it with you guys here on the video. If it seems like it's taking a long time, then we might not do all 3. But let's see, because I think it would be really good if we could get this done. So that way you guys can get more exposure and get through a lot. Alrighty, so let's jump right in. This is lesson 8, variables with artists. So if you remember, we're drawing different shapes. So let's draw an equilateral triangle. It has to be exactly 50 pixels long on each side. So what would I do first? I would move forward by 50 pixels because I can see the first line of the triangle. Then I would turn left by 120. Now I could easily use my repeat block and do this 3 times, and that should form my triangle. So there you go. Super simple. Let's try the next one. Now you could use another loop to draw 3 of those triangles right next to each other. You can nest the code from your last puzzle inside. So remember, I'm taking the code that I just had to make the triangle. So this will make 1 triangle, but I want to make 1, 2, 3 triangles. So I take another loop and I put the loop inside of the loop. That's a nested loop. And now it will make 3 triangles. So let's see. Oh, whoops, wrong direction. I think we need to go left, not right. Okay, now it will make 3 triangles. Well, it's making 3 triangles in the same place. So what do you think we need to do? Maybe we need to move forward to be able to get to the next triangle. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it looks like that might work. So there you go. So you just have to add another move forward block to be able to skip ahead and draw the 3 triangles. Okay, let's watch this video about variables. This should explain it to you guys.
A variable is a container that you can store a value in. When you use that variable in an algorithm, it opens up the container and looks at the value inside. This lets you write smarter algorithms that behave differently depending on the values stored in the variable. For example, if you wanted to write an algorithm to say, "Happy birthday, you're turning 10," to my little brother, that's great now, but when I run it next year, I'd want it to say, "Happy birthday, you're turning 11." I could create a variable called age to store my brother's age and write my algorithm to say, "Happy birthday, you're turning age" instead. Because variables can change, each year I can update the variable age to equal age plus 1.
In this puzzle, we're going to be using a variable that will set the length of the line our artist draws. Later on in our code, the move forward block will look at that length variable to see what value you've set it to.
Okay, so hopefully that helped you a little bit more with understanding the variable. So we have set the variable as length to 50. What will happen when you click run? So it says set the length to 50 and then 3 times move forward by length. So it's going to move forward by 50 pixels, turn left by 120. So the artist will draw a triangle as 50 pixel sides, right? Does everybody see how that will happen? Because we set the length to 50 and used it as our variable. Before things get tricky, can you move the length of 50 into a variable so we can use it in the next few puzzles? So what would I need to do? I would have to set my length to 50, and then I would have to plug my length in to each of these missing parts here. So hopefully you guys are understanding. Length is the variable, and we're setting it to 50 in this particular puzzle. So now it's the same puzzle we just did, except instead of putting in the 50, we used it as a variable. Okay, so then that can help us in future puzzles. So it says now use the length variable to have the artist jump forward and down by length pixels between triangles. So let's see what happens. I'm just going to run it. I wonder, let's see. It needs to jump forward. So let's see what happens when I run it. And let's see what the problem is. So the problem is that it needs to jump. So it needs to actually jump forward. So let's see. I'm just going to add that in. Oh, no. Let's get the move forward out. Oh, didn't work. Okay. So we have to try to figure. So let's try and think what we need to do because that wasn't working. So if the make this the triangle and jumps forward by 50, then she's going to need to turn. So let's try and do turn right by 90. Let's see. Let me just run this and see if this gets anything better. No, that didn't work. So that's not going to work. So hang on. So let me try adding it in to here. We don't want to move forward. We need to turn. I'm putting them into the actual repeat block because we're going to need to actually jump since they aren't connected. So I'm just trialing an error. Let's see. Oh, so it looks like that might actually work. So I just added into the repeat block. Hopefully you're able to see jump forward and then turn right by 90, then jump forward and then turn left by 90 to go to each of the different triangles. Oh dear, this one gets even more crazier. Add another set of loops at the end of your code to add 3 more triangles. This time move forward and up. So let's say, I'm gonna just run this and see where it gets us. Just so we could figure out what we need to do next. Okay, so now we're here. So now, So we know we're going to want to do another triangle. So we know we're going to want to move forward by the 50 pixels, turn left to do 1 more triangle. And then I can make this a little bit faster. So now we're here. So now we need to think about how in the world are we going to do these 2 other triangles? So we have to think about that. So let's see, it's going to be similar. So we need to get another repeat block, put it in. I'm thinking we need to also jump, but we're going in the reverse direction. So let's do it left and then right. So let's do left by 90 and then add in, don't forget to add in your length here. and then jump forward again, and then we'll go right. Because we're going in the other direction this time. So let's just try it out and see what happens. Whoop, didn't work. Uh-oh, something went wrong. Whoops, this was supposed to be right. I made a mistake. Yay! Okay, so that definitely was tricky. They do get a little bit trickier. Oh dear. Oops, we actually need the triangles to be 60 pixels wide with 60 pixel jumps. Aren't you glad you're using a variable? Oh dear. So now we're just going to set this to 60. Change our, and let's see if that works. Woohoo, that was easy. Yes, I am glad I used a variable because that would have been a nightmare to have to go and redo all that code again. Use what you've learned to build this design where the squares have 80 pixel sides and the artist jumps 80 pixels over and down between each one. So we know we're setting the length to 80. And so we're going to move forward. We're going to make a square. So let's just kind of do the repeat thing for the square. Move forward. Then we're going to turn left by 90. So, okay, and we're going to do this 4 times. Let's see if this makes one of the squares. Let's just test it out. So we made one square. Now we need to be able to jump forward. Okay. How many times are we going to do this? 4 times. Let me get another repeat loop. Put that in there. I'm just trialing it out, trial and error. Ooh, that did not work out very well. So something went wrong because it did go, but it went straight. But instead, we are kind of going in this diagonally down pattern. Okay, so we need to add in our turns then, similar to what we did in the other one. So because we're going to be going right, and then we'll do this one, and then we're going to be going left. So let's jump forward again by length, and then add a turn left by 90. Let's see what happens. Let's give her a try. Yay, it worked. So just add your turns in, and then it should work. So that's lesson 8. So I don't know how you guys feel, but I think let's try and go to lesson 9. And let's see lesson 9. Finish this code so that the bee can collect all of the honey and nectar. So let's take a look at this. They're using a function here for collect row. And it looks like it's moving forward, getting nectar, moving forward, making honey, turning left. So that's interesting. So we have to think about, how many times we would do this. So that can be a little bit tricky. So let's see. So let's get out our variable of gather. So we're going to be gathering 2 times. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So they're all 2. So we could easily put that block into each of these. And then that would help us. And then how many times? 1, 2, 3 times. So let's add in a number block of 3 in here. And I have it repeated 3 times. So let's see if this works. Oh, it's working. Oh, great. Awesome. All right, let's try the next one. Edit your solution in one place so that the bee can collect all of the honey and nectar. So something is off here. So how many times? 1, 2, 3, but this gather should be 3, not 2, because it's gathering it 3 times. So we're just changing the variable from 2 to 3. So that's easy. So that was a really easy one to fix. Thankfully for the variable, right? All right, let's try the next one. In this puzzle, each patch needs the variable to be one less than the patch before. Subtract one from the variable each time through the loop if you want to use the same function to solve this level. So we have to subtract it by 1 every time. So that's interesting. So I wonder, we need to then go and put a different block into there. We're going to have to use. So let's tell it set gather after it collects the row to gather -1. So we want to use this math block here. You can change it to subtraction. Then you can get your variable gather. Put it in there. So now it's saying that every time it goes through each of the steps, it will collect 1 less, because we're going from 3 to 2 to 1. So let's see if that works. Looks like it's working. So hopefully you're seeing the variables can really help, because they make it easier for you instead of having to do all that code manually. Edit the code to make it work for this puzzle. So this time it's going from 1 to 3. So it's actually going to be gather +1, but we're starting at 1. We want to start it at 1, set gather to 1, and then every time it goes to the next one, it's going to add 1. So it's just the reverse of what we just did. Instead of subtracting every time, it's adding. Yay! Create your own code to solve this puzzle. Oh my, they want us to create our own code. This should be interesting. Okay, so I pulled up the code. So if you make the function for collect row, repeat gather. So we're going to set our gather to 1, because we're going to go from 1 to 2 to 3. So we're doing pretty much the same thing we just did with the other one. Set gather to 1, repeating 3 times, collect row, set gather to gather +1 every time we go along. So the collect row, we're repeat gather, move forward, repeat gather, get nectar, repeat gather, move forward, repeat gather, make honey, because you make honey for these, and then turn right. So let's run that one. Okay, great. Okay, let's, number 6 is a challenge. Oy, so this one should be interesting. So a couple of things. We're going to start with 3. Okay, why are we going to do that? Well, actually, let's see. We're going to start with 1, and then we're going to keep adding 1. Huh. Interesting. So this one, what they did is they actually started with 4, and then they subtracted whatever the gather was. Okay, so then they got to 3 to 2 to 1. This is definitely a challenge puzzle. That's what I really must say. So let's, if you want to try it, you can. If you want to skip it, I totally understand. It is pretty challenging. So here's the code for, they made a function for collect stairs. So they have all the code in there, and then they used it and they said, collect 3 times, collect stairs, set gather to gather +1. And let's see if it works. Well, of course it worked, because they did it. So. Yeah, so it's up to you. You could skip this one. Let's see what the last one is. I think the last one is, this puzzle's a little different. What do you need to do to solve it? So this one, again, is pretty tricky. So they're setting the gather to 1. 4 times they're repeating collect. And what is the collect function? While path is ahead, move forward, repeat, making honey, turn right, move forward, and then repeat, get nectar. So, and then they're doing that and they're adding +2, because it goes from 1 to 3 to 5 to 7. So they did gather plus 2 to be able to go and actually collect all of them. Wowzers. So yeah, that was definitely a challenge one. Okay, so this is lesson 10. There's only like 5 levels, so let's see if we can get through it. So this one, it says, let's start the section by drawing a triangle with 150 pixel sides. Be sure to use the length variable in the repeat loop. So variable, set length. Let's set our length to, let's get a number. We're going to set our length to 150. And then we're going to have a repeat. We're going to be moving forward by the length. And then we're going to be turning left by 120. We're going to do that 3 times. Woohoo! So we did our triangle. Okay, this one, it says rebuild the triangle from the code in the last puzzle, but this time it says use the set length to block to reset the length variable and to length plus 10 at the end of each loop iteration. So it says set length to length plus 10. The length of the first side of the triangle is 150. So let's go back. So we had our set length, and then it was 150 for the first one. And then we had our triangle. So it's the same code that we just used. Moving forward, turning left, except now it's saying to use this. It says, so we want to reset the length variable to length plus 10 at the end of each loop. So go into variables. And we want to do set length to, and then you have to get this block, and then you need to go in and get the length block, and then you need to go to math and get a number block, plus 10. Let's test it out. And let's see what we did wrong. Let's put it inside of the loop. There you go. Okay, so now it worked. I made it a little bit longer. Okay, let's try the next one. Oh my, time to make some art. See what happens when you repeat the code from the last puzzle 30 times instead of only 3. Feel free to make your lines any color or pattern. Oh, wow. So yeah, actually, let me see. I want to do that. I'm going to set random color every time. And then I'm going to change this to 30. So now we're going to make a cool, colorful triangle. Wow, that looks so awesome. So just to let you guys know, if you're interested in art, maybe you might want to become a graphic designer. They definitely need to know code because they can create art through different programs using code. So definitely something you'd be interested in. Here's your code from the last puzzle. Try editing the variable in other ways. What might happen if you start out with a length less than 150? What if you multiply your variable by 1.25 each time? What will your code do if you turn 119 degrees? I don't know. Let's try that. I'm going to change it to 119 degrees. I'm going to change this to less than 150. I'm going to put 135. Well, let me try her out. Whoa, look at that. It looks really pretty. There's some pretty art. And this is our last level for today. It's a free play. It just says take what you've learned and try to draw different things. So you can draw squares, pentagons, hexagons, whatever you want. I'm just going to make Mhm. I'm just making up different things. Wow, look at that. Oh, pretty. So anyways, you can make up your own things. You can even share these with a friend. You can just copy and paste the link if you want to share your artistic work. But that's the end of lesson 10. So I know that lesson 10 was pretty easy, pretty fun. Lesson 9 was pretty challenging, probably out of all of them, right? And then lesson 8 was okay. So obviously feel free to go back to this video if you need to copy the code, if you're stuck on it, if you need to skip like the challenge levels, just try your best, okay? And get through lesson 8, 9, and 10. That way, next week we can start off with simulations, which I think is a lot of fun. And then we're going to get to do AI for oceans. So there's a lot of fun ones coming up. So it'll be good if we could actually try those out. So finish lessons 8, 9, and 10 this week. And then if you need to catch up on anything, catch up on it. Otherwise, we'll be back next week and we'll jump right back in. Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.